Okay, today I wanted to make some collard greens for Sunday dinner. So I thought I'd go ahead and do a video. So here I have some smoked turkey wings, and the first thing that I'm going to do is clean those thoroughly and then put them in a pot to boil so they can become tender. Then I'm going to clean my greens. So I take the stem out first and I just pinch along the sides of the stem to get the stem out. And then when it gets to the very thin part, I just go ahead and just tear it from there and discard the stem. So I'm going to show you again how I pinch the stem on each side, which causes the leaf to tear from it, and then I pinch it off so that I can discard the stem. Next, I'm going to clean each leaf front and back so that if I see any bugs or anything like that, I can get them off. Next, I'm going to stack them. Usually I do about 5 or 6 leaves at a time. And then what I do is once I get them all stacked, then I will roll them up and then thinly cut them. So here it is. Here I am here rolling up the collard green leaves. And then I take my knife, my chef knife, and then I go ahead and cut up the leaves, doing what they call a chiffonade, which is a thin ribbon slice on each stack of collard greens. Once I get them cut, I place them in a bowl, make sure they're separated pretty good. And then I'm going to show you how I do it one more time, stacking up my leaves here, my collard green leaves. Like I said, 4, 5, maybe 6 at a time, rolling them up and grabbing my chef knife and doing a chiffonade, which is a thin ribbon cut on each stack of leaves. Here's a little close up going through those. Some people like theirs cut a little bit thicker, but I like mine thin. So I'm loosening up the leaves and put them in the bowl. So the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and start getting some water into my sink, and I'm going to clean my greens. So I clean my greens very thoroughly. I usually do this about 3 or 4 times. I'll put it in water. I will go ahead and begin to move the leaves around, shake them around, scrub them a little bit, just so if any other excess dirt, sand, or whatever is on the leaves, I make sure that I get them off. So that's what I'm doing here. And then next, after I get through doing that, I grab a handful of them and I put them in my colander to drain off and to set to the side actually. And so I'm going to do that, get them all out of the sink. And once I get them all out of the sink, I want to show you what the sink looks like. So I'm getting all my greens, my collard greens into the sink. And then once I get them all into the sink, you see how this water looks very green and mucky and dirty? Okay, we don't want that. We want the water to look very clear and nice and clear once we finish cleaning the greens. So we have to clean these again. So I'm going to get as many as I can in the colander, and then I am going to let the water out of the sink, rinse my sink out, and refill it with some clean water. So here I'm getting my stopper in the sink, and I'm going to run some fresh water into the sink and dump my collard greens back over into the sink. Now I did this process probably about two or 3 times. Once my greens started, my water started to look clear like this. It's still a little mucky to me with but I'm going to go ahead and let that water out, refill it, and then the last washing, I'm going to add some white vinegar to my water. That helps to get off any other thing that may be left on that wall on my greens. So I put my greens back into the water, let them sit in that water with the vinegar for about 10 minutes, and then I go back and I take my greens out. Now, once I take my greens out and I'm placing them in the colander, I'm checking my water to make sure that there is nothing left. And I want you to see the comparison of the water now as opposed to the water when I first started. You can start seeing it now as I start taking the greens out, how much clearer and cleaner the water is. It's so much cleaner and clearer. So I feel very, very, very safe in taking and putting these greens in the pot. This is where they started off this dirty and now they're clean. So I'm checking here for my turkey wings to see if they're tender, and they're very tender. I had them on for about an hour, and I'm going to start adding my greens to my pot. So I didn't do as many greens as I usually do. So therefore I can get all of these greens in my pot. And what I did was about three stacks or 3 packs of greens, 3 bundles of greens actually. I did 3 bundles of greens and cut them up. And so after I get them all in the pot, I'm going to add some salt. I'm going to season it up really good with some pepper. I'm going to add a little bit of crushed red pepper. I'm going to add some garlic, some vinegar into my pot to give it some extra flavor. And then I'm going to let those greens cook down just a little bit. Once those greens are cooked down, I'm going to open up my pot again, or take the lid off my pot, and I'm going to add some chicken, better than bouillon, chicken flavored with some water, and add that to the pot. So if you can see here, this has cooked down a lot, if you can see through the steam. And then, like I said, I'm going to take my better than bouillon. I'm just going to take about a spoonful of that into some water and get that stirred into my pot. So once I get that stirred into the water, I'm going to pour that over into my pot. And now, while you're cooking, the water level may go down, or the stock may go down. You can always add more stock or add more water so that your greens don't burn. But you want to cook these until they are very, very tender. Once they're cooked till they're very, very tender, they're done. And the whole process probably takes about 2 hours. I've never timed it before, but the smoked meat, it takes about an hour, and then the greens takes about an hour. But it depends on where you get your greens from, and all of that. So here I am plating up my greens. I am putting them in the bowl. You can see all that good old meat in there, and this looks so amazing, and it smells wonderful too. So I paired my collard greens with some red beans and rice, and I had some pork chops that I made, some teriyaki pork chops. And now I'm going to give my greens a try. So here you go. I'm tasting my greens. And they are so, so, so good. Tender, melt in your mouth, delicious.